Hello, today is August 21st, 2026, and I have not been posting lately because we were on another road trip recently, and one of the stops that we ended up at was the state capitol in Nebraska, which was a very, very, very interesting building. I'm going to come back to this picture. When I airdropped them to myself, they all went out of order. I don't know why, but I'm going to show you some pictures from the state capitol of Nebraska and give you some of my thoughts on this. So here's one of the marble structures at the state capitol. A skull of some kind of horned beast. Of course there is. This is the law library here inside. This is the elevator. Very old elevator with the old system at the top there of the needle moving along with the elevator. This is one of the marble columns here. Now we did the whole tour while we were here. We did the entire tour. So this was a door that they showed us. It was all made out of wood. And it was enormous, and it has Native Americans on there, and it has, what does it have? Different Native American stuff. Anyways, one of the things that they had on the floor, this is a woolly mammoth on the floor. Now, I've been doing this research on the old world stuff for a while, and I'm actually inspired today because I was listening to Old World Exploration on YouTube, one of my faves. He digs into a lot of the buildings, and I totally agree with the fact that we've been lied to and that there's something huge missing out of the whole thing. But I have one point. I really don't think we lost this technology until the early 1900s. I do think that this stuff was still being built. Yes, there was definitely some that's been inherited, but I do think some of these buildings were still being built up until the early 1900s. That's my own opinion, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about why I think that. I don't think that in every case, and there's a lot of buildings I can totally see that they're much older than that, and that they're, these fake dates that they just carve into the front of it is so, like, obviously an afterthought. But the reason in this building that I'm intrigued, and this could also have been laid down after it was inherited, so I'm not going to say that that's the case entirely, but this whole floor of the Lincoln Capitol had these fossils, a fossil record, literally a fossil record. It had these different, like right here, you can see like this snake looking thing, and you can see all of these fossil records. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit on that. It's not working. I don't know. There we go. So you got your dinosaurs, your platypuses, more dinosaurs, triceratops. Now, I freaking love dinosaurs, and I hate the fact that I don't believe in them anymore. But they have all these fossil records on this giant floor pattern here. Now, this was taken from the second floor, looking down at the lobby. And it also has, like, I forget, we did the whole tour. But there was, like, about creation and, like, all this stuff all in the floor plan. And so this was claimed to be built in the 1920s. And this floor plan matches that absolutely to a T, because this is right when the whole Darwinism thing happened, when there was the court battle about whether it was, if we came from monkeys or not, and what should be taught in the school, and all of that stuff was happening in the 1920s. So this fits into that timeline absolutely perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. Was the building inherited first? And then this these elaborate floor plans were put down after, I don't know. But it is very intriguing, and this one part of this building absolutely, to me, speaks volumes into the fact that this fits into the timeline of that Darwinism stuff. So this is looking up at the top of it. There's this elaborate chandelier here. There was a ton of artwork that was added later. So you can see behind here, I think they said this particular painting might have been added in the 50s or the 60s. There was a number of them that had been added to go with the Nebraska history or whatever. So state, it says state. There's a lot of things carved into all the way around it. I can't read the whole thing. Riding to the RV. If you zoom in here, I think that's where I got a picture of that beast head was on this fence here. And here's another photograph with the artwork that was added later. The musicians and such of the state of, I don't know, what does that say? It has a $sign right there though. And then up at the top you can see this very elaborate ceiling with what they said were like angels. I don't know. They're all holding hands together. They all have horns on their heads. And this was on the ceiling. Now the whole top of this building is being renovated at the moment, which, you know, of course it is. Oh, here's another picture of another ceiling, another chandelier. Let me see if I can zoom in on some of these details. First fruits rejoicing, and the soil hath rewarded their labors with the, do I have to turn it to read that? With the abundance of the, I don't know, maybe you can read this better than I can. Seasons of the, behold they come. Yeah, anyways, they say it's about abundance. They spoke a lot about the corn and things like that they're growing out there, and that they've always grown out there. And so were some of these details added later? Definitely possible. Definitely possible. But I still hold on to the possibility that maybe we still have this technology to build like this into the 1920s. That's just my own personal theory. And if you look down the bottom of this, you can see that they have this painting. I only got part of it. Let's see. And this is one of the marble columns. They said that was 25 feet high, solid marble in one piece. The woman giving us the tour actually said this. When asked how it got here, she had a lame answer. Oh, they brought it by boat and then the trains took it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I don't know. That was a giant column. A giant, and they said it was all in one piece of marble there. Here's the top of that column. It's got some interesting faces on it. Some kind of bull or buffalo or something. This is the view out the front window. You can see over here across the way there's a church. I didn't get a lot of pictures outside because it was like 100 degrees that day and my boyfriend would have melted, but here we go. This is another chandelier and a little bit more of the ceilings. And this is the outside. And as you can see right there, there's people working. The whole upstairs was all off limits. We were not allowed to go upstairs in the building this day. And they said that it will probably not be opened again for another year. because they were putting in some kind of elaborate air conditioning system. Is it that, or is it a destruction project? I don't know. I don't know which. Here's the lobby. Some people, random people, kids and such. It was a very interesting place. Okay, so there was also a courtyard here. I went outside into the courtyard, and here's the little water fountain that I found out there. And of course, the black and white checkerboard feature that you'll see in so many government buildings. This is another one of the courtyard. It was very reminiscent of the courtyard at the Boston Public Library in my mind. Very similar setup with a courtyard like that. This one, actually, this right here really struck me, because this is a holy water. This is for holy water right here. You can't tell me otherwise. This is for holy water. It had this arched area that it was in, and it had this little marble bowl here. And you cannot convince me that that was not originally for holy water. I think there's no other purpose for that at all. Speaking as a Catholic, that is what I see. And here is another painting, most likely added much later than the building, and a giant door there. Here's a picture of the inside of the elevator, which was coated with some kind of cloth for their installation of the air conditioner up on the upstairs floors. Maybe to protect it, I don't know. But yeah, those are the elevator buttons. Here's a little video. Eight-second video I took. And here's the video of the water fountain. The water's so green. It was so pretty. Here's another one of the ceiling with these weird people with the horns on their head. Supposedly angels. I don't know angels with horns on their heads. A lot of it had to do with the zodiac. They also had a statue to Buffalo Bill Cody. Right there. He must have been a Nebraska dude. And they had Willa Cather. And here's the best one of the ceiling I think I took right there. You can see it the best. They said it usually was more lit up, but with the construction upstairs you couldn't see through it as well anymore, because it wasn't getting the natural light in. And here's one of these were panels with, like, basically they were telling a story, but they were so up high I couldn't tell what they were telling the story of. But it kind of reminds me, along with the holy water one, it kind of reminds me of the Stations of the Cross. I don't believe that's one of the Stations of the Cross, but that's what it reminded me of. And here is another one of the floor with this woman. I forget, she explained this part. It didn't stick with me. I don't know why. But here's this painting here was to commemorate the 1888 blizzard that took the lives of a lot of children, when this temperature dropped very suddenly right when school was letting out, and kids were without enough warm clothes, and they were trying to find their way home, and it was completely blinding, and there was a bunch of death. And the ones that survived, a lot of people didn't have fingers and noses and all kinds of stuff. They call it the children's blizzard. Here's another one of these ones that reminded me of the Stations of the Cross, because they were telling this story, and I wish I could have seen all of them and figured out the story. Who's this guy? This one is George W. Norris. I forget what they said he was. And here's, actually, this is kind of interesting here too, because this is the priest that founded Boys Town, which is also a Nebraska thing. You might have done your digging on that too. I'm going to speed this up because I don't want to make it too long, but yep, here's another ceiling picture. with all of the zodiac signs on it. You can see this, a lot of the zodiac symbology there. And here's the door, huge door with a big gate on it. One more of these Stations of the Cross. I think it's the same picture though. Here's another marble column that was much smaller, but still one piece. I think that one was about 12 feet high. And the builders. If you're interested in doing research on the builders of the Capitol, the Governor Bertram Grosvenor Goodhue, sculptor was Lee Laurie, muralist was Hildreth Mira, thematic consultant Hartley B. Alexander, the Capitol Building Commission, Samuel R. McKelvey, Governor, W. H. Thomas, Walter Head, W. E. Hardy, George E. Johnson, and the members during construction are Charles W. Bryan, Governor, Adam McMullen, Governor, Arthur J. Weaver, Governor, and Robert L. Cochran, State Engineer. And last but not least, this is the room we finished up in. You can see part of the woman who gave us the tour, but you can see the ceiling was all intricately laid out with multiple pieces. She said it was like a giant jigsaw puzzle. And this is where some Congress meets still to this day. Here's a better one of the ceiling right there. And here's one more of the floor with these two people and a baby. Oh yeah, this is, so they also, this is going to be long. I hope I can condense it enough to not mess up my phone, which has no more memory. But anyways, this is where Congress meets, and they said that they're the only I forget. They're the only ones that Nebraska has a different kind of government than the rest of the country. Back to my woolly mammoth friend here, and the ceiling again. Yeah, there's where Congress meets. Whoops. I would go away. Is that everything? That might be all of them. Yeah, that's all of them. I'm going to end it there. Hope you researchers, fellow researchers on this old world stuff, find this interesting. Love you all. Take care. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. You know, do the thing. Bye.